Hello, my name is John Wellman, and this is my critical reflection for ethics and professional norms for Module 1. So, for personal demographics, my personal life, I'm married to Carrie Wellman. We've been married for 20 years. We were in New Orleans last weekend celebrating our 20th anniversary. Carrie's a Title I reading teacher at Nickerson Elementary, which is where I teach. So we're in the same building together, which is pretty fun most of the time. It's fun because we can go home and when we're talking about kids, we both know what we're talking about and understand the different dynamics. We have 3 children. Ella is a senior. She's 17. Emily's 15 and Nolan's 13. We live west of Sterling, about 7 miles out in the country on a family farm that was homesteaded in 1881. And I do help with the farming occasionally, not mainly during harvest times or just when they get behind on things. But I graduated from Kansas State University in 1998, and they're about to start playing their game against TCU here in 15 minutes, so I need to hurry up and finish my video. My teaching experience. I taught in Grapevine, Colleyville, Texas from 1998 to 2009 at Bear Creek Elementary. I was in 3rd grade for 1 year, 10 years in 4th grade. After I graduated, I'd grown up in a small town of Sterling, and then I went to K-State, which is a medium town, so I wanted to live in a big area, so I went to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Bear Creek was a great school. It's a blue ribbon school, had a lot of good mentors there, and a lot of good staff development, and I think it really formed a real solid basis for me as a teacher. In 2009, we had we're about to have our 3rd child by then, and we wanted to move closer to home to be around our parents and so the kids would know their grandparents. So I took a job at Chase Grade School in Chase, Kansas, which is a very small school. Average class size was probably about 9. And my wife got a job at Nickerson, and then I've been teaching in Nickerson since 2017. We wanted to be in the same district. And so the past 6 years, I taught 4th grade for a year. Then I did 3 years of high school weightlifting. And the last 2 years, I've been teaching 6th grade. I've coached almost every sport there is. I've coached football, basketball, track, baseball, softball, and even jump rope. And I've also taught driver's education for the past 10 years. Current teaching roles, I'm teaching 6th grade math and science. I'm also coaching middle school track and teaching driver's ed. In fact, I did 8 hours of that today. What I've learned, so this is something that I had a thought about. A valuable lesson I've learned is that change is good and can give you new perspective. So like I said, I taught elementary for 19 straight years, and I was becoming your typical grumpy old burnout teacher. And then I went to teach high school weightlifting for 3 years, and I didn't enjoy it. I felt really unfulfilled. Didn't feel like I was really making a huge difference in kids' lives. And so then when I came back to elementary, these kids just seemed tiny to me, and they just made me realize, they're just little kids and they have problems, and most of their problems are not their fault. And I was filled with a renewed enthusiasm and a new perspective, and I've just been a lot more compassionate and patient. And because of that, these past 2 years have probably been my most enjoyable years as an educator. Okay, so to the article summaries. What are ethics and why are they important? Well, ethics should be based upon the 7 principles of selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and leadership. Ethics are important because all decisions made in education should consider these principles. Leaders should demonstrate the virtues of trust, wisdom, kindness, justice, service, courage, and optimism. Honesty, hard work, respect, cooperation, compassion, forgiveness are vital to success. It is impossible to reach your full potential if you're not living ethically and morally. And, serving as role models and encouraging these virtues, we can help students grow into fulfilled and valued citizens. And ethics can vary widely from place to place and person to person. There are many kinds of ethics. They can be categorized into personal ethics and professional ethics. And I just thought, the ethics, I've always been a huge believer in character development of kids and, really developing them as individuals and stressing right from wrong, because a lot of kids don't get that from their parents. And I do believe it's, I've seen huge success stories with just teaching kids to be good kids and care about each other. So what are the differences between personal and professional ethics? Well, personal ethics refers to a person's morals and code of conduct. They're taught to them from the very start by their parents, their family, and their friends. Professional ethics, those are introduced to a person once they join an organization. I think the professional educator should strive to create an environment that nurtures ethical conduct towards students, practices, and performance, professional colleagues, and parents and community. So in my chart, the personal ethics, those are your morals, your code of conducts. They're learned at birth from family and friends. They're not conform. And when you don't conform to those, you may hurt others, cause them not to want to be around you, be your friend. You use them to satisfy your personal needs, and they include things such as openness, honesty, friendliness, respect for others, and loyalty and integrity. So professional ethics, they include rules of the organization. They're learned when you start your employment, and not conforming may cause you to be fired or not respected. You use those to satisfy your professional needs. They can include things such as your dress code, punctuality, expectations, chain of command, confidentiality, and many, many more. Things that I thought, learned at birth from family and friends. Why that's significant to me is that in a classroom, you're just going to get so many different kids with so many different value systems. And I've taught in Dallas, Fort Worth, where, at the start of that, I was teaching really wealthy white kids. And then a mosque was built nearby. And by the time I stopped teaching there, there's probably 70% Muslim kids, and totally different value systems. Both had good qualities, both had bad qualities, but definitely different sets of values and different ethics. And, even within here at Nickerson Elementary, you'll have, some kids have both parents work, they're married, they work hard. And you'll have other kids that have parents that are incarcerated or drug addicts or whatever. So they're all coming from different places. And then, as far as your job, that can change from school, your job ethics and expectations, those can change from school district to school district, or school to school within a district, or even in the same building. When you have a change in leadership, the professional ethics and expectations might change during that time. Okay. So I no longer see myself. I'm just going to keep recording. So, what does ethical leadership look like? Principals must set. I got to move this out of the way here. Okay. Principals must set clear expectations and guidelines for students and staff behavior. They must act out expected and desired behaviors themselves and seek mechanisms by which to reinforce professional ethical behavior and deter unprofessional or unethical behavior. Leaders should strive for excellence, be trustworthy, be accountable, be courteous and respectful, be honest, open, and transparent, be ethical, and be respectful of confidentiality. Principals must recognize that they are leaders within the larger community and public figures that may face heightened scrutiny in their personal off-the-clock behavior, and external pressures and risks are identified and shared openly. Some things I found interesting on this, if a principal wants to lead, for example, they need to be very explicit in what behaviors they're wanting from their staff. It needs to be taught to the staff, it needs to be modeled to the staff. Also, the part about the off the clock behavior, I've had one principal and one assistant principal through the years that maybe were too close of friends with teachers and would hang out with the teachers a lot, go to bars or whatever, and just, to me, it really hamstring those principals and kind of took away from some of their authority. And also, you are in public, and you always have to be aware of your public persona as well. And then I really enjoyed the part about external pressures and risks are identified and shared openly because, you know, in my experience as a coach, sometimes you'll get external pressures from parents or external pressures from just people outside. And typically you kind of keep those to yourself and you just kind of deal with them. And I really like the idea of, as an organization, sharing some of those outside pressures and making in a way that kind of diffuses their power. And I really enjoyed that part. Okay, how do ethics lead to student adult success? Research shows that aside from teachers, school principals are the most influential school-based factor in promoting student achievement. Up to 20% points may occur when a school has above average principal rather than average principal. Also, effective principals are more likely to retain qualified and effective teachers, which helps drive student achievement. And then for students, our actions have major impact on the results of our life, our attitude towards elders, and with all our relations, our honesty, dishonesty in our workplace and life, how we cooperate with others and apply all their moral values have specific impact on our lives. And in the case of professional ethics, the principles and rules must be followed by you. Otherwise, it can badly affect your status and reputation in the organization. So, we get where we are in life in large part by how we treat others and the choices we make. So if we can teach our students to be ethical and to make good decisions and to do the right things, they're generally going to end up in a better place. What are professional norms? So those are just the expectations, conducts for all members of an organization. Weaver talked about a lot of different tips when making decisions about your professional norms and expectations for your school. We talked about be a role model for fairness, be consistent, train teachers to be responsible for the actions, know the mores of your school community, understand that you and your teachers are accountable for your actions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, provide adequate supervision of students at all times, make sure that your teachers avoid being alone with students, don't ignore situations, require proper use of the internet, remember that school equipment is school property, avoid inappropriate relationships with students. Other things might be dress code, training lesson plans, punctuality, and parent communication. And I put those specifically for a reason. We have a new principal this year, and our last principal was, her strengths really included instruction and celebrating successes, and did a lot of great things. And she wasn't real worried about what teachers were wearing or did require teachers to turn in lesson plans, was pretty lax to a fault on punctuality, wouldn't directly confront it. And a new principal is very much a rule follower in those regards and wants lesson plans turned in and dress code followed by all teachers at all times, and is a real stickler for punctuality. And, of course, as you can imagine, that tends to ruffle some feathers here and there with some of the teachers who have been here a while. And, you know, as a principal, it's his job to set what he wants it to be. And as teachers, I think we really need to follow his guidance and follow, and he is doing all those things. He's walking the walk, and we need to follow him and buy into his vision for our school. And so that's just kind of an ongoing battle, I guess, at the start of our year that we're still kind of in the midst of. Advocating for ethics and professional norms in education. School principal must conform to established standards of professionalism and ethical conduct and embrace their role as a model of professionalism and ethics for teachers and students at school. They must train teachers to be responsible for their actions. Many teachers have had little ethics training, so you must provide them with opportunities to discuss ethical dilemmas. And all educators are obligated to help foster civic virtues such as integrity, diligence, responsibility, cooperation, loyalty, fidelity, and respect for the law, for human life, for others, and for self. So I just think it's hugely important that we are advocating for ethics and professional norms. And of course, every school is different, and I know our school has work to do in some of these areas, and these articles have been helpful for me to think about which areas we're strong in and which areas we're struggling in. Okay, so next I have my critical reflection. It says critique your own professional application, thoughts, misgivings on your current teaching practices. Well, I do feel like I've always tried to put students first in decision making and goal setting. I think I'm pretty honest and I show integrity. I always try to do the right thing. I think I do struggle in objectivity. I tend to see things through my personal biases. I also know I could be a stronger leader at school at times, and in the past, I think a large part of that was due to just being really busy with coaching and lots of other things. I've kind of resisted taking on a big role at times in schools, and at other times when I haven't been coaching, I have taken on huge leads like I said earlier, as a team leader of a team of 6 teachers, and I haven't shied away from that at other times. But what kind of changes do I need to make in order to become a highly successful future school leader? Well, I know I need to have a vision or a plan in place that's proactive. I've been exposed to many different principles and many different leadership styles, and they all have their strong points. None of them have been perfect, obviously, but I need to kind of take what I think work best from those people I've been able to work under, and make a clear plan for what norms and ethics I expect for myself and staff. And then how does all this support the educational success and well-being of each student adult? Well, I believe students will always rise to expectations. We need to always demonstrate high moral and ethical standards and expectations for our students and expect them to follow our lead. I truly believe students are happier, and staff is too, when they have high expectations for themselves and others, and clearly defined expectations as well. Um, and I believe if you and your staff have high moral character and ethics, your school will show progress and success. How do you advocate for ethical decisions and cultivate and enact professional norms? I think I do a good job of being a positive role model to students and other teachers. I think I'm well respected as a teacher as far as my teaching content and teaching style and the relationships I build with kids. A lot of that I already talked about, our new principal, and I'm 100% trying to vocally support this new principal. Whenever I hear someone griping about it, I don't just straight up say, no, you're wrong, but I try to kind of put in my own 2 cents about how, change is hard, and, we just need to try to give them a chance and try to make things work. Concluding thoughts. So correlation, research clearly shows a high correlation between ethical leadership and school performance. The information in these articles gave a clear understanding of why ethics and professional norms are necessary for any school to be successful. This project increased my knowledge of ethics and professional norms and gave me the framework to start planning what my leadership will look like from an ethical perspective. Relevancy, I was actually a little surprised. Sometimes I have a negative attitude going into things, and didn't know where this was going to go, but this really did make me think a lot about previous experiences with principals, and it really made me examine kind of what I viewed as their strengths and weaknesses from an ethical standpoint. It's made me examine my own ethical hierarchy as far as what things I would view most important from an ethics perspective and what I would want my vision to look like for a school that was under my leadership. This assignment also made me aware of areas in which I can do more to encourage professional norms in my current setting under our new principal. I do believe we do a great job here at Nickerson Elementary of always trying to make decisions to the benefit of students. And I'm definitely interested to see what else I'll learn in this course over the next 9 weeks. And then reflection. How will I promote current and future success and well-being of each student adult? Why is this important? I truly believe the goal setting and the celebration of success for both students and adults is vitally important for morale, for making people feel valued and acknowledged. People really work hard for you if they think you care about them and appreciate them and understand them. If you're trying to have your students demonstrate ethics, then you'd always catch them being good, exaggerate how incredible they are for always doing what is right. Really is something that should be talked about every day. The same is true for teachers. Teachers want to feel like they're making a positive difference. And as a principal, it's important that you are giving recognition to teachers when you see them demonstrating the qualities that you want to establish in your school. How will I apply the new knowledge, skills, and commitments necessary to become an advocate for ethical decisions? Do you anticipate any difficulties? And I mentioned this earlier, but an area I know I'm a little weak in is my openness. I sometimes try to just hide problems and deal with them by myself instead of including others and asking for help. And I did enjoy the thought about how we can minimize our outside risk by being open about them. How will I cultivate and enact professional norms? I use collaboration. I'm on the BLT team. We have professional learning communities that meet usually every 2 weeks. We can meet parents and staff meetings and help make decisions about ethics and professional norms that are important for our school. I will try to lead by example with ethical behavior, and I'll be explicit when I'm communicating my expectations with other staff or students. Okay, and here's my references.